Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. Welcome to Durrett Steak. Let's get started. There's a lot I want to go over today. Um, First, let's start off with the NFL takeaways from this week. My one phrase words for each game. Let's get started. So for the Texans versus Titans, my one phrase: it's good to be lucky. And boy, did the Titans get lucky. First, the touchdown pass to tie the game was actually out, in my opinion. I felt like his knee touched out before his other foot came down, but since it wasn't conclusive enough, the call stood, so therefore they get the touchdown and then the extra point to tie it to send it to overtime. And then they got lucky because they won the coin toss. They get the ball first because Deshaun Watson would have got the ball first. Tennessee's defense was not going to stop him based off how the game went. So they got lucky that they got the ball first, and they're able to march down the field to win. So credit to them. And now they face a tough Pittsburgh team next week. So we'll see if they play if they play defense like that against Pittsburgh. They're not going to win next week. Okay, so moving on to the Bengals versus Colts, a tale of two halves. The Colts can be a great team. They have the potential to be, but the problem is they're kind of streaky. It's kind of like a shooter. Either like he'll make like 8 in a row, go 8 for 8, or he'll go like 2 for 11 and just not be like on his mark, even though he's potentially a great shooter. So it's kind of like that. So the Colts want to contend with like the Titans in their own division. They need to play a good game for 4 quarters. Falcons versus Vikings. Didn't blow a lead. How about that? After Dan Quinn gets fired, and they get an impressive victory, and it didn't blow the lead. In all honesty, this was not smart because they could use that number 1 pick, in my opinion. But I mean, top 5 pick or something is good enough, I guess. And I know winning feels good, so I don't blame them 100%. Now, the Vikings without Dalvin Cook looked pathetic. They somehow made it work against Seattle last week, but the Vikings are now back to being afterthoughts for the season. And one thing to keep in mind here: coaching does matter. For example, when Carson Wentz had the Colts head coach as his offensive quarterback in Philly, he looked like MVP candidate, and now barely a starter. And now Kirk Cousins looked great last year. It was a Pro Bowler. Now this year, he might get benched by the end of the season. Like that's so often. So like it's not just head coaching, but also coordinators. Like they do matter. Just keep that in mind. Broncos versus Patriots. Locke has the key. Drew Lock comes back from injury and was able to figure out the Bill Belichick defense for the first time to lead them to a win. How about that? Didn't expect that. By the way, I gave up on the Broncos too early. Lock's back. They got Philip Lindsay back. Gordon is out for the game, but he's going to be back. And I know Fant was out for the game too. He's going to be back at some point. And they're going to get, I think they're going to get Sutton back at some point. I mean, of course, they still have a few players like, obviously, their best player, Von Miller, being out for years, stuff like that. But it's like they're getting their injured players back, and it looks like I give up on the tour where they might win 6 or 7 games or something. They might make some noise a little bit, maybe. And also, if for the Patriots fans, being one-dimensional is haunting them right now, just like I thought it would. If the Patriots want to make the playoffs, they need to go make a trade. Get a wide receiver right now. Not a Sanu like they did last year, but go get yourself like a CD Lamb for the Cowboys or something like that, since they have too many receivers. Just Cedric Wilson, like get something like that. Washington versus Giants. Giants beat the no-namers. I actually predicted this would happen at the beginning of the week, and I was this close to being off because the Giants only won by 1, and a 2-point conversion was the difference. But anyways, I'm glad, happy for the Giants that they were able to win a game because this is one of the few and only games they'll be able to win. But Giants are they're reminding me of a Brian Flores coach team from last year. Remember, Miami hardly had any talent last year, but they played hard and just did their best. The Bill Belichick way to play hard, be competitive, do your best, and we all thought, okay, well, since they did that last year, then this year they should improve, which so far they are. So the Giants, they're not going to be any good this year, but if they can continue this effort of looking like the Brian Flores coach team from last year, then the year following, they can start improving some more, and we can start taking it a little more seriously. Ravens versus Eagles. Cowboys 2.0. People, if you didn't see this already, the Eagles are basically the Cowboys. They dig themselves in the holes and have to play miracle ball to make it interesting before losing or every once in a while winning. They also have a bunch of injuries. This means the 2 games against them will be very interesting. Also, the Ravens, if you're wanting to even beat Super Bowl contenders, you need to cut out the dumb penalties. That was pathetic. I know not all of them are your fault. For example, the pass interference one that set Philly up with nice field position 2 minutes, like that one. I understand that was not your fault at all. I don't blame you at all. But generally, just stop at the penalties. Browns versus Steelers. Steal the best. While Browns have improved, the Steelers show that they're still the best by a mile. The Browns looked like they didn't even belong again with them. It's kind of the same story against when they played the Ravens at the beginning of the year. So now we know that against great teams they will lose, and not lose, but they'll lose badly. But against bad teams they'll win. So it's just a matter of how they do against average teams, like the Colts, for example, which they were to get a win earlier. Because if they can get a few wins against the average teams, then that's how they can sneak into the playoffs. Bears versus Panthers. No bridge over the water. Bridgewater has played pretty well this season so far, but that Chicago defense gave him all the trouble in the world. But all that said and done, it was 4th down and 2. He had a wide open receiver to where if he would have made the pass perfect, the receiver would have automatically had the first down and it would have been very close to a touchdown. But instead, he throws it just a little bit too far, and the wide receiver couldn't come up with it. And then luckily, the defense was able to get 3 now, get the ball back. And then the first play on the last drive, bam, interception. So not the best for Bridgewater, but hopefully they take that as a learning experience for a promising team, but a very young and inexperienced team. Lions versus Jaguars. No surprise there. As I told you, the Jaguars are done. They're back in the Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes. I haven't taken them seriously for a while now. Lions, I mean, yeah, whoever good enough team can beat the very, very bad teams like a Jacksonville or a Jets or something. They can beat those type of teams. Until they beat a good team like the Seahawks or something like that, until they beat those type of teams, then I'm not going to take them seriously at all. And, I mean, yeah, this saves Matt Patricia for time, but it's just like if he's going to struggle against the Seahawks or Bears or stuff like that, then it's just like then I'm not gonna take the Lions seriously. Period. Jets versus Dolphins. Don't count us out. The Dolphins win as expected, and they're now 500 and second in the AFC East over New England. Even though I don't think they'll make the playoffs, who knows? Maybe we might not be able to count them out just yet. I'll have to wait and see. And props to Tua for going out there and playing good in his last drive. It was fun to see. Packers versus Bucks. Packers got exposed. So guys, now we know the Packers are the same as last year. Against the good teams with great defenses, Packers are no match. Like last year against the 49ers, and they faced them twice. They were just no match. So expect another 13-year, 12-4 year with a bad performance against a great defense at the playoffs at some point. That's what I'm going to expect from them this year. Rams versus 49ers. Let's pump the brakes on that Ram. Keep in mind, the 4 wins the Rams have are against the NFC East teams, and 2 of them were one possession, including the Giants. So maybe the Rams are just mediocre at best once again this year. Now time will tell, but that's what it's looking like. But credit goes to Kyle Shanahan, by the way. He knew he couldn't have Jimmy G with an ankle that was not 100% to just be a pocket passer, and luckily he came with a great plan to just get a good running game going, and then Dink and Dak, and luckily the receivers made good catches at the run, so it was able to make Jimmy G look good. So the 49ers season is now saved for now. I'll hope it's not lost quite yet, so it'll be interesting to see where things go here in the toughest division as Seattle and Arizona play each other next weekend. And also it'll be interesting to see what happens with the Chiefs and Bills game tonight, and the Cardinals and Cowboys game tonight. I predict both of those games will involve shootouts. I expect the Chiefs to win that one, and the Arizona Cowboys one could be a coin flip, but I'm going to take Arizona, even though it pains me to say it, but I'm going to take them. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. So now the top 25 rankings came out for college football yesterday, and you have the top 10. The top 10 is Clemson, Alabama, Notre Dame, Georgia, Ohio State, Oklahoma State, Texas A&M, Penn State, Cincinnati, Florida. So for me, obviously this changes a little bit because I do teams that have only played so far. So Clemson, I would keep at number 1. Alabama, I would keep at number 2. Um, Notre Dame, I would keep at 3, but it's more by default because again, the Big Ten teams like Ohio State hasn't played yet, and then Georgia just lost. Even though it's to a really good team, it's still a loss. So Notre Dame's 3, but it's not a confident 3 at all. I'm kind of not liking what I'm seeing from them actually recently. And then Georgia's 4, at 3-1. I guess I would take that right now over an undefeated Oklahoma State just because Georgia looks better than Oklahoma State at this point. So the Georgia 4, Oklahoma State will go up to 5, Texas A&M go up to 6. I would move Florida up to 7, and then I would put BYU at 8. They got a good one against Houston. I was wrong about that one. 9, I would take Miami because they're one against the best team, so that's understandable there. And then 10, I would put Cincinnati. So that would be my top 10. To repeat, you got Clemson, Alabama, Notre Dame, Georgia, Oklahoma State, Texas A&M, Florida, BYU, Miami, and Cincinnati. So that's my top 10 as of right now. So thank you very much for listening to my podcast today. Please subscribe to my channel to learn more about me. Thank you very much, and you all have a wonderful day.